CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
Let's go!
You're still grooving, still connecting, still loving, still turning up, still thriving. You still got it, but your immune system, it weakens as you age. That's where vaccines come in. They help train and strengthen your immune response to fight off respiratory illnesses like flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, or COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Book in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Transfer savings, earn more. UCCU, love where you bank. And here's Jason Jones.
Amanda, nothing on the cameras, but it is still slow. Northbound I-15 to turn on that off-ramp there to go to eastbound I-80. We're looking at the cameras, and the cars are getting through. They're just going a little bit slower, and I just think it's, a couple of cars actually slowed down there, and so instead of racing through it, and that maybe is what's showing up on our map at this point. Now, we're looking at the cameras up north and on the west side, and it's heavy fog, especially I-80 out there, about 5600 west out there by the airport. You're going to see a lot of fog in that area, and that'll just kind of continue all the way up north on the west side of both Davis County and Weber County as well. So you're going to want to slow down and reduce your speeds there, although it hasn't really affected traffic at this point right now. Use Superior Water and Air for all your HVAC and water treatment needs. Call 974-9090 or visit superiorwaterandair.com. Superior Water and Air, we got this. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today will be another hazy day. The highs will be around 42, and that's basically the forecast for the 7 days. Although we're hoping for some wind to come in on the weekend and give us a little better air, at least for a day or so. Right now it's 28 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Welcome back to Inside Sources. I'm Holly Richardson, and I have a guest host today. It's Rusty Cannon, President and CEO of the Utah Credit Union Association. And Rusty and I go way back, so it's very fun to have you in.
Thanks for having me. It's good to be back.
Yeah, it is. So, look, President Trump has released the Great Healthcare Plan, which is his administration's healthcare proposal. It's at least a little bit more fleshed out than the concept of an idea. And this comes after the Affordable Care Act additional subsidies expired at the end of December. So we have a little bit more from ABC.
On the last day of enrollment for the Affordable Care Act, President Trump announced his long-promised health care plan, vowing to pay Americans directly through their health savings accounts.
My plan would reduce your insurance premiums by stopping government payoffs to big insurance companies and sending that money directly to the people.
The plan also vows to create more transparency by requiring health insurance companies to post their profits from premiums in plain English and the rate at which they deny care. Healthcare providers who accept Medicare and Medicaid would have to post their prices and fees. The plan needs congressional approval.
So that was ABC's Christiane Cordero reporting. And Rusty, you have a long history, I think, of looking at taxes and pricing, and this is the president's plan to make healthcare great again. What can you tell us about it?
Well, it's interesting this is coming out now. What is today? January 16th. If you remember, we had a big battle about healthcare. How many months ago was this? Was it October?
Yeah, yep, during the shutdown.
Yeah, October. Yep. Why couldn't we have heard this then would be my first question, right? I'm glad something is coming out. I think they could have probably done a better job on timing, but I think to the points of what he's and from what I understand, this was mostly conceptual last night. But they're concepts worth talking about. That first one that he mentioned, this is the wording actually from the page that they released: stop sending big insurance companies billions in extra taxpayer-funded subsidy payments, and instead send that money directly to eligible Americans to allow them to buy the health insurance of their choice. I support that idea. I think it's a great idea. I'm wondering just why it's just a concept. I think by now you could have had some pretty robust policy, a flesh out here where you get some details. The idea is great, but you got to get Congress to move. I don't know if I hold my breath waiting for them to move.
Well, that's also a good point. How might this be different? And maybe you don't know, and I don't know, but how might this be different than what we already had with the ACA, where you can choose the health insurance of your choice?
Well, I think the big difference is the issue. This is my opinion. The issue with the Affordable Care Act is that there's a lot of government subsidies. So the cost of healthcare continuing to go up, then that cost rise is continually funded by taxpayer subsidy.
Mm-hmm.
So, as you know, we saw a lot of illustrations in October when this debate was happening, where let's say the premiums or the cost for this policy for your average family, let's say it was $2,000-$3,000 back in 2012, is now say $10,000.
Right.
And that spread has been covered by these subsidies.
Mm-hmm.
So then when COVID, they had that extra boost that was given that went to the insurance companies to bump that down, so the cost to the user wasn't as much. And that's what's expiring. I think the idea here, if I understand it correctly, instead of sending it in a subsidy, they send it to the taxpayer, to the person. Then you make the decision to buy your health plan as you see fit with some market, I would assume some market forces. There's pricing to choose from. People can compete for your business. It's not just a government subsidized program. And that's my understanding of it. I think that's a better way to do it.
Yeah. Look, there's a couple of other things that are in this concept of a plan that I really like. And one of them is using plain English. And it would require insurance companies to publish rate and coverage comparisons up front on their website in plain English and not industry jargon. It's one of the things that, you get into healthcare and then you start hearing these words. Nobody knows what they mean, right? It's like, whatever you say, because I have, right? Yes. Right. And I like transparency and cost. And he actually talks about that in two different places in this fact sheet that they released. This is the White House that released it. But it's one of the places where, you and I have talked about this for, 15 years-ish, about transparency and healthcare costs, because you go to the grocery store and you know what you're paying.
Yes.
You go to the furniture store, you know what you're paying. You go to the doctor or the hospital, you have no idea what you're paying.
Correct.
And it varies, right? So you have an insurance cost and you have a cash cost and you have, all of these other things. And, you have the Tylenol that can be $600. I'm exaggerating. It's not quite that high, right? But we know, like, you can even bring in some over-the-counter medication on your own that would be significantly cheaper than using the hospital version.
Yes, correct. An example, I see this in my neighborhood where I live. There are some businesses that do, I think it's the MRI, right, where you can do some imaging.
Sure.
And there's a flat fee that you pay. I don't remember what it is.
Right.
$400, $800, something like that. And that's fully disclosed. Hey, come here. We'll do this for you. It's, say, $400 or $800. If I went through like a healthcare provider, from my understanding, I would never see a price until
you got the bill.
Yeah, until I got the bill. Yeah. And I think that's, I assume, what he's getting towards is that maximizing price transparency is have that up front. That brings in market forces where you have to compete. It's like, okay, provider A, you're charging $800. I can go down the street and it's $720. I think I'll go down there. So then you start to drive down costs.
Right.
And I think so. I think it's a worthy goal. I think the only negative, like I said before, this is a couple of lines on page 2 of a 2-page document that was released. I think we need more details than that.
For sure. One of the other things, too, is about prescription drug pricing. And I had to look up most favored nation status for drug pricing. It's a policy concept aimed at lowering U.S. prescription drug costs by tying them to the lowest prices paid for the same drugs in other high-income countries. So basically, you're saying if you can buy XYZ medication in France for this amount, you're going to pay the same amount in the United States. You're not going to jack the price up for the U.S. So that's one goal, and the other is to just make more over-the-counter medications available for purchase, right? Mm-hmm. So this is he does not talk about this at all, but for example, I buy over-the-counter generic allergy medication, but it's one that I have to show ID for because it's like I just want to treat my allergies. I mean, come on, right? But at least the generic version is significantly cheaper than the brand name.
Yeah.
And I've encountered that in some other medications I've looked at. I have chronic migraines, unfortunately, and there's a medication that works, but it's $1,500 a month. I'm like, okay, well, we're not doing that.
Yeah. Well, and the issue here with prescription drugs, I am not a healthcare lobbyist. They would probably give you a different story, and I don't have the straight story. My understanding is a lot of times the claim is, well, we need that type of revenue to do the research.
Right.
And if you want
R&D.
R&D, if you want the cutting edge drugs, there has to be some give and take and profitability. I believe that. I think that's true. However, some of these prices, when you see them, your eyes pop out. Are you kidding me? It has to be that high. I think I would assume there's some happy medium where you could have enough profitability to drive the R&D, but also reduce costs.
Yeah.
But they do have to make up those costs at some point. I don't quite understand the whole favored nation thing and why it's lower in Europe and yours. I've heard some explanations. I can't, remember it off the top of my head, but that's what they would come back with, is that there's a reason for it. But.
Look, I think you mentioned Congress has to pass this, but I think that the prescription drug lobby and health insurance lobby are going to be very, very active on this particular issue. So, look, we have a tax expert with us. It's you. So we're going to go into some of the top-of-mind proposals in Utah impacting your tax dollars. Rusty will break it down for us straight ahead.
Are you ready for a new you in the new year? The Salt Lake City Fat Loss Program has helped thousands of frustrated men and women feel confident in their clothes, boost their energy, and finally feel like themselves again. So, what's the secret? Salt Lake City Fat Loss uses a science-proven plan to help reset your metabolism and lose up to 1 pound of fat per day without dangerous drugs or exercise. And right now is the perfect time to start. Due to overwhelming demand, Salt Lake City Fat Loss has extended their huge New Year's sale, over 20% off for a limited time only.
I'm Maria Chaleos. Do what I did. Lose up to 1 pound per day. Right now, you can save with their New Year's special at slcfatloss.com.
Whether you want to love what you see in the mirror again, boost your energy, fit better in your clothes, or feel more confident and healthier as you age, Salt Lake City Fat Loss works. Huge New Year's sale is ending soon. Schedule your free consultation today at slcfatloss.com and lock in your savings. That's slcfatloss.com. Results may vary.
Your ultimate destination to explore the latest vehicles from top brands is the Utah Auto Expo. See the hottest new cars, trucks, and SUVs. You can even get behind the wheel and test drive several new models right at the show. Like the great outdoors? Adventure Utah is your ultimate guide to outdoor excitement and exploration. Plus, we got exotics, classics, customs, and more. There's something for everyone at the Utah Auto Expo. Now through Monday at Mountain America Expo Center with plenty of free parking. More info and tickets at autoshowutah.com.
It's 2026. New year, new you, new resolutions to keep for a couple weeks. Whether you're trying to eat healthy in the new year or not, your best choice is Omaha Steaks. They have multiple bundles to choose from. They have an all-protein pack if you're trying to slim down or eat clean, consisting of butcher's cut filet mignon, air-chilled boneless chicken breast, boneless pork chops, classic burgers, and more. Everything you need for your freezer and meal prep. Or grab one of the other bundles that include potatoes au gratin and caramel apple tartlets. That sounds good. Omaha Steaks offers unrivaled quality and variety, and every bite is backed by their 100% guarantee. Every steak is perfectly aged to maximize tenderness and hand-cut by master butchers in America's heartland. Save big on gourmet gifts and more holiday favorites with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com, and for an extra $35 off, use promo code SKY at checkout. Terms apply. See site for details. That's omahasteaks.com, promo code SKY.
Women go through many changes in their lives. And we believe each milestone matters. That every new candle represents another step in your story. Our healthcare experts support women at every stage of life. Because each chapter deserves to be celebrated. Women's health. Nurture what's next. Find care near you at mountain.commonspirit.org. Common Spirit Health. Human kindness lives here.
Any Hour Services can help you make sure your furnace keeps you warm this winter. Whether you need a tune-up, a repair, or a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
The more you listen to your kids, the closer you'll be. So we asked kids, what do you want your parents to hear?
I feel sometimes that I'm not listened to. I would just want you to listen to me more often and evaluate situations with me and lead me towards success.
We're not adults, so just be there and like listen. I just want someone to yap to. And I just feel like I'll be fine like if someone just hears me talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk.
You're doing a really good job. And I don't think I tell you that enough. And I know sometimes we get into it and it's just hard on both of us. But try to understand me more and I'll try to do the same.
Listening is a form of love. Find resources to help you support your kids and their emotional well-being at sounditouttogether.org. That's sounditouttogether.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Pivotal.
Every 2 minutes, an American is sexually assaulted. Be the someone who gives their time. Be the someone who lends an ear. Be the someone who takes a step. This is Christina Ricci with RAINN, asking you to join the fight against sexual violence and volunteer in your community. Log on to rainn.org, that's RAINN.org, to learn how you can be the someone.
This message brought to you by the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network and this station.
And expanded Inside Sources.
Welcome back to Inside Sources. I am your guest co-host today, Rusty Cannon, here with Holly Richardson. Holly, this is great to be back.
Great to have you.
Yeah, Inside Sources has been rocking and rolling for a while, and it's nice for you to let me come along for the ride today.
It's really fun.
We wanted to talk about, the legislative session, everybody knows, or should know, is starting next Tuesday. There will be a lot of bills, or a few bills, dealing with taxes, as usual, and we wanted to discuss those that are coming.
Yeah.
Two in particular. We'll talk about the first one, property taxes. As you know, this is an issue that everybody gets worked up about. If you're seasoned enough in life to where your home is paid off, this is one of the taxes you pay all at once, right? Which is why it hurts for many of them.
That's right.
If you had to write all of your gas tax on a check
once a year,
you'd be livid.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then same thing with, some do this with income tax, like maybe self-employed, those kinds of things. But that's withheld from your paycheck. Feels a little
you don't
less
see
pain-felt.
it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But property tax, in that case, you write it all at once, so you notice, and that's oftentimes those. But we all pay it into escrow if you have a mortgage, those kinds of things. So elected officials have heard a lot of complaining over the years about higher and higher property taxes, and they're justified. Continues to go up, and as people might know, when you get your property tax bill, the county sends it to you, so they get blamed a lot because they send it to you, but they're only one line item. There's like 12 to 15 line items on there, because the major portion, about 60% of your bill typically is your school district. Then you have your city, your county, and then your special district, which is water, usually
sewer,
sewer, mosquito abatement, things like that, and all these different line items. And then if there's bonds, school bonds, those kinds of things, that's all on there. So that is what your property tax bill looks like. But how it works for taxing entities, meaning a city, a county, or a school district, is under Utah's Truth in Taxation system, is they get the same revenue as the previous year. And then if they, with a few other factors, if they built new homes, those kinds of things. But then if they want to exceed that, they trigger Truth in Taxation, and that's where you get the hearings that we talk about.
Right.
And oftentimes that is what is driving your property taxes higher. However, there has also been an effect over, I'll call it the last 10 years or so, where a big shift of those taxes has come onto the residential properties for a few different factors.
Okay.
Mostly because our values have gone up so much.
Yeah.
And as those values go up more or faster than commercial properties, that creates a shift. That is a natural thing that happens because it's just the air moving to the other side of the balloon, so to speak. But it's maddening for people with residential property because you feel the burden. So you can't fault the legislature for wanting to do something about it. So what they're proposing in this bill, that property tax exemption that you have on your primary residential property started in 1982 with a constitutional change, because that had to change. We had to change the Constitution to put
I actually did not know that. You just taught me that.
Yeah, so it was 1982, and it started at the constitutional amendment allowed for up to 45, but the legislature set it at 25% then. It then went to about 30% in 1991, and then in 1995 they moved it up to 45%.
So let me just see if I understand you correctly. So in 1982, Utah voters said, we want to have a constitutional amendment that says we have a certain percentage of our home's value exempt from paying taxes on our primary residence, right? The home where we live. Mm-hmm. So that's why when we get the tax notice, it will say your home's valued at, say, $1 million, but you're only paying taxes on 600,000.
Yeah, roughly.
Something like that, right? So we started at the 25%, and what are we at now for exemption?
45. We're up at 40 because that was the limit put into the Constitution.
Right.
So they will forward a bill this time if it passes. Has to pass by 2/3 of both bodies because, as you know, it's a constitutional amendment. Then it will go on to the ballot for 2026 to allow them to move it up according to where it's written or to be written 60%.
So this bill is being run by who?
Jill Covert.
Okay, so she's a representative, right?
Yep, Representative Jill Covert.
Okay.
And so that would theoretically, and this is where there's some twists and turns to this. Theoretically, that would lower your property tax. However, it won't lower property tax for everybody. And I can explain why. Now, this does get boring, but I'm going to try to keep it exciting. So if you're in a community with a lot of commercial property, say Salt Lake County, there's a lot of commercial property to shift that burden to because you have a greater exemption on your home.
Sure.
If you live in a bedroom community, it won't do you any good.
Oh, wow.
Because all will happen is the local entities will then, the certified tax rate it's called, will just float up to give them the same revenue. So your home, your exemption goes up, but your tax rate will go up. So there are bedroom communities out there where they will see no benefit from this.
Oh, interesting.
Now, those are areas where there's virtually no commercial property.
Yeah.
Because and this is not just commercial, it'll shift onto second homes, commercial properties of farmland, anything that's not a primary residential.
Okay.
There's what are called centrally assessed properties. Those are your big mines, power plants, those kinds of things. But does that help explain kind of what would happen?
Yeah, but I can anticipate that with something on the ballot that says, do you want to have a larger exemption on paying property tax? The answer is going to be yes.
Oh, overwhelmingly will pass. Yes, there's no way this doesn't pass.
Okay.
The only issue is good tax policy is not always popular tax policy because you're shifting it. Businesses don't vote.
Right.
They give us our jobs, but they don't vote.
Exactly.
And so it's easy. It's a good populist message, to be honest, of like, hey, I'm giving you, Holly, a tax break.
Right.
I'm not telling you that it's shifting to the guy down the street.
Right.
The business down the street.
Right.
But give me it. So yes, it will absolutely pass if it gets it on the ballot.
I've joked with Greg Skordas before multiple times that a lot of times the tax policy that people like is don't tax you, don't tax me, tax the fellow behind the tree.
Yes,
right.
Exactly.
So you're
and
shifting
that fellow is the business down the street.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Talk to us a little bit about gas tax because we do pay a fair amount at the pump that seems to be more than the states around us. But how much can the state actually impact the price of gas?
So there are two taxes on your gas when you buy it at the pump. There's a federal tax and a state tax. I don't remember the exact. I want to say it's like 18 cents federal. I can't remember, and it's in the 30s on the state level. I think combined it's like 50 or 60 cents a gallon.
Okay.
And so the proposal that I believe would be coming is to try to reduce that state gas tax. The problem is it funds roads. We need our roads fixed. We want potholes fixed, all of that, and that. Actually, the gas tax doesn't even fully fund roads. They have to They have to use about $600 to $700 million a year from the general fund from sales tax to fill the gap. Gas tax actually needs to be higher to fully fund roads. They're not going to do that. They would get laughed out of the room if they tried to do that. So they're trying to lower it. But then I believe the idea is to then put a tax to make that up on the top end, I would say, where the refining or the drilling / refining all that happens. That's the concept as I understand it. But it would the idea is to lower the gas tax on the state level that we pay at the pump.
But by how much? Right? And maybe you don't have a cent amount, but it just seems like lowering it by even by 10 cents, I get it. But when I drove back to the Midwest this summer, like it was not a 10-cent difference. It was close to $1, it felt like.
Well, the problem is it's a commodity and those commodity prices swing. We all know, right? I haven't looked out the window today, but what is gas? Just under $3 or something like that.
Yeah.
And it could swing far more than that tax would on any given day.
Right.
However, they would be able to credibly go to voters and say, we cut your gas tax by 20%. Well, but 20% off of 35 cents is, I'm doing the math in my head, 7 cents, right? So that's factual, but, does it make a difference?
Yeah, that was one of the things I was interested in. So we also know the one big beautiful bill that passed in the summer is really impacting tax revenues coming to these western states. We talked yesterday on our show about that. Is there an ongoing sense of maybe we shouldn't cut taxes quite as much this year?
Well, there's income tax. There's the three major taxes,
Right.
property tax, income tax, sales tax, and then gas is kind of that fourth tax, which think of it like a sales tax. And there's always conversations on cutting the income tax again. Because of the federal legislation, this happened in 2017,
Yeah.
it actually raised state revenue. The latest version of federal tax reform actually lowered state revenue.
Right.
Some could argue that's a good thing. But yes, that kind of gets rid of any surplus the legislature was hoping to get, and they maybe need to pinch some pennies. And so that would be one side of the argument, is that maybe it isn't a time. However, people are mad about their taxes, especially property tax.
Wow.
And some are not happy with the way gas tax works. So there is and will be an effort to cut those two.
And there's probably no discussion about tax on food this year. Is that correct?
I haven't heard that for a long time.
I haven't either. I think we reduced it, but we still have.
Yeah, off the top of my head, I totally forgot what we did. I just remember being in the middle of it all, and it was such a heated
I know.
argument,
It's like,
but
can we get rid of it altogether? And I think the answer was no.
no,
So we still
they'll
pay
never get
taxes
rid
on
of
our
it.
food.
It funds local government, a lot of it, so they'll never let that happen.
Okay. Well, that was a really insightful.
I hope I didn't put everybody to sleep.
No, I pay property tax too, and we talked with Billy Hesterman earlier this week, and he's like, "Look, that's the one that people get the most heated about because it's right there in front of your face."
Yep, exactly.
So this was a story that caught my eye yesterday, as after I was done with the Inside Sources. 15 college basketball players have been accused of rigging games, and we're going to have Jay Evenson join us to talk to us about what is going on and how sports betting is getting out of control.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour, Tyler Robinson, the man accused of shooting and killing political activist Charlie Kirk, is set to be in court today. Attorneys for Robinson are expected to argue to have the entire Utah County Attorney's Office removed from the case, claiming they have a conflict of interest. One of the attorney's children was on the UVU campus at the time of the shooting. The office claims it's not a conflict of interest and the family member did not actually see anything. The hearing is set to begin at 1 p.m. A former state Senate candidate is set to be in court for a third time after the jury became deadlocked. They were not able to reach a consensus on Brandon Beckham, a man accused of sexually abusing a woman while running for office. KSL legal analyst Greg Skordas says it's not a common thing to see.
Trials are gut-wrenching, and they're especially difficult for victims and witnesses. So to gear up for what's now going to be a third trial is not an easy thing to do.
Beckham's first trial ended in a mistrial when one of the defense attorneys said she was uncomfortable working with him because of his behavior. Beckham denies all allegations. Our top national story this hour, we're learning more about President Trump's health care plan. ABC's Andrea Fujii.
The key provision? Trump wants to send money directly to Americans into health savings accounts.
The government is going to pay the money directly to you. It goes to you, and then you take the money and buy your own health care.
But that has some experts worried that people with pre-existing conditions may not be able to get coverage, which has been guaranteed under the Affordable Care Act.
The plan also aims to lower prescription drug costs and force insurance companies to be more transparent about rates. Your money at this moment, the Dow is off 13 points right now, just a fraction. We're at 49,439. Coming up, that hazy sunshine continues this week. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:32. A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Hi, it's Julie. January is normally a winter wonderland in Logan, but instead we're wondering about winter altogether. This weather. It's easy to get stuck in a rut this time of year, so get in your car and escape to Logan for a refreshing change of pace. Get a hotel, swim in the pool, and check out great restaurants that are new to you. Catch Aggie basketball, gymnastics, or hockey, and especially Aggie ice cream. Bull Tracks is my personal favorite in case you were wondering. Take in a live performance or see a classic flick at the Utah Theater. Throw hatchets, go bowling, or ice skate outdoors. Ski the Beeve and check out their new lodge, or rent snowmobiles in Logan Canyon. Enjoy a sleigh ride through a giant herd of elk. I don't really know if you should pack winter boots or galoshes and an umbrella, but either way, your Logan stay will be packed with fun, great food, and beautiful scenery. Just get here. Check out explorelogan.com/winter, explorelogan.com/winter, explorelogan.com/winter.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370. 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-292-4541 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-292-4541. That's 800-292-4541. What do you have to lose? Call 800-292-4541. Again, 800-292-4541.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Supercharge your savings at uccu.com. And here's Jason Jones.
Amanda, we're still seeing the thick fog. If you are out on the West Davis Highway, it's very heavy in that Kaysville-Layton part of the West Davis Highway. Now, on I-80 itself, down in the Salt Lake Valley, a lot of the fog has burned off out there by the airport, although we still see quite a bit of it on camera. It's lifted somewhat, so your visibility is better, but we've still got the fog around there. There's no other major delays, although we did want to mention that eastbound on Pioneer Crossing at about 2300 West, they've gotten some construction barrels out there on the road, and so you're going to stick over to the left because the right lane is blocked there. But that's really the only other problem spot. Home ownership is slipping away in Utah, and young Utahns are being priced out of their own communities. Learn more about Utah's housing shortage and what we can do to begin to fix it at demandmoresupply.com. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today will be another hazy day. In fact, it's going to be like this for most of the 7-day forecast. We're hoping for a little wind to come in this weekend and clear out the day, clear out the air at least maybe for Sunday. But right now it's 28 degrees downtown. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Today it's Holly Richardson and Rusty Cannon, and you know, I'm not a huge sports person, but I am super interested in these scandalous stories that keep coming out.
They keep coming out. This one makes my blood boil again.
So there's a bribery scheme that started overseas, and it's rattling the basketball world in the U.S., but it's now a former college star. He was paid to play below his talent, and then he pulled other players into rigging games. So we have several college basketball players facing federal charges right now. And for me, the fun of watching college sports, if I'm going to watch it at all, is to really see these athletes work on their skill. To know that they're throwing the game is just like, I don't want to watch anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
So we do have ABC News chief investigative correspondent Aaron Katursky, who told the ABC podcast Start Here that dozens of games were affected from 2022 until early last year.
This, according to federal prosecutors, shows just how rampant the culture of cheating has become in big-time college basketball. As alleged, more than 36 Division I men's college basketball players and others are involved in what prosecutors described as a point-shaving scheme. The average cash bribe payment was anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000. So that they would underperform. Guy averages 12, 15, 20 points a game. In one game, suddenly scores 6 points on purpose. It tainted the integrity of the sport, federal prosecutors said, and really kind of made the games a fixed outcome. So that also ruined the experience for fans, because if you have watched a lot of college basketball in recent years, the chances are you have watched a game that was rigged by this scheme. We've seen a series of indictments about illicit gambling tied to the NBA, tied to Major League Baseball, rigged pitches as alleged by federal prosecutors in Brooklyn. And this is only the latest case.
That was ABC News chief investigative correspondent Aaron Katersky. Look, some of those alleged bribes could be as much as $30,000.
That makes a difference.
It does. So I always like to introduce our next guest as the expert in sports betting. This is Jay Evenson. He's the opinion editor of the Deseret News. And it's not because he has personal experience, but he does have some strong opinions. Thanks for joining us, Jay.
Oh, well, thanks for having me. Listen, the Bible tells us that if you sow the wind, you're going to reap the whirlwind. And I think that's what we're seeing happening in sports. And federal prosecutors, when they unsealed the indictments yesterday, mentioned this, that there is now so much money, so much gambling going on, so much, and the sports leagues have embraced this. And there's another twist now here. It's the name, image, and likeness payments to players. And there are some players out there apparently who are a little upset that they are not getting as much as their teammates are, and that makes them more vulnerable to throwing games in exchange for money. This is a huge problem. Now, our reporter Dennis Romboy yesterday did some great reporting, and he found a trade publication called Casino Guru News, and they did a survey of 2,000 gamblers who said that 54% of them said that they are losing their faith in the outcomes of sports games. And if this spreads to the public, we're in big trouble. And I think it already is, actually. But you think about how much money in Utah now is being dedicated to renovating the Delta Center for NHL hockey. There's money promised in order to build a Major League Baseball stadium if we should ever get a team. If we lose the integrity of these games, it's going to cost us billions of dollars in wasted taxpayer money. And I think that every team owner, every investor, and certainly every politician who has a stake in this ought to be knocking down the doors of commissioners and the NCAA president and saying, what are you going to do about this? And I think, honestly, the only answer is to completely cut ties with gambling, which would cost the sports leagues a lot of money at this point.
So, Jay, is the new paradigm enabling this? And what I'm speaking to, I have 20-somethings, in my family, these boys that just it's sometimes driving me nuts. But they're talking about, parlays. If this player scores this many points and he runs 4 times and he throws 2 passes, I will win X. And so there's all kinds of factors that you can now bet on, which to me seems like it makes it easier to have bribery or rigging of listen, there's a lot of money at stake at times, and if you just drop the ball right here, it will really pay off, and let me help you. I mean, is that new paradigm enabling this?
Absolutely. And these sports books, they prey especially on young people who are more vulnerable to this type of thing. College students, there have been studies, and I don't have them in front of me, but large percentages, particularly college men, young men, gamble regularly, and it's as easy as your smartphone in your pocket. And you not only can gamble on the outcome of games, but you gamble on different parts of the games. These are what are called proposition bets. So you can say, oh, player X is going to score less than his average tonight or get more rebounds than his average. It's so easy to manipulate that in a game if you're a player. And I really, there's so much to talk about in this subject, but the sports books are preying on the young people, and they're preying on problem gamblers. There's a lot of evidence to show that if you exhibit signs of compulsive gambling, they're going to do everything they can, including giving you VIP status and assigning people to you to give you perks and things to help you place more and more bets. I think this is a huge problem in society, and there's no federal agency investigating it. Nobody's really looking at it. I liken it to the tobacco industry in the 1960s, when the government finally came out with some limits on advertising and that type of thing. I think we need to see that sort of movement in Congress, but we're not right now.
Jay, just another quick question. How does the way people gamble now impact Utah not legalizing gambling? And yet I think there's plenty of Utahns who can and do gamble, and they just use their phones.
Oh, that's such a great question, because there are commodity markets, right? And they are governed by a separate board that's separate from federal and state law, and you can legally place bets with these markets. What they do is they sell contracts. So you're not gambling that the Jazz are going to win tonight. You're buying a contract that says the Jazz are going to win. It's the same thing, but it's a technicality.
Wow.
And at the moment, there are companies like Kalshi, for example. You see them advertise during games here locally that it doesn't matter what your state law says, you can use us to gamble. Right now, that's a huge loophole, and I think it's going to take Congress to close that.
Wow. Thank you so much for joining us, Jay. Appreciate your insight and expertise. Now, when we come back, we have a very special guest. Super excited. We have Representative Celeste Malloy, who's going to join us in studio, and we're going to ask her this question. Is Congress going to shut down again? I also want to know if we're going to invade Greenland.
January 30th
so we'll
is
see.
right around the corner.
That's right. Stay with us.
It's the dawning of a brand new year, and NPS is here to make sure that new year is wonderful by helping you, all of our families, buy at great, great prices. You know, each and everything in the store any given day is 20 to 70% off. And then they have additional sales. They change all the time. New things are coming into each of the stores, and you can save even more at NPS. And of course, if you're looking to eat a little healthier this year, NPS has the great produce. They have things that you are looking for to make sure your family eats well and eats healthy. And of course, there are many things for your home as well at greatly reduced prices. NPS, it is the nice place to shop and the nice place to save. Each of their locations, 2 in Salt Lake City on Empire, 1 in Orem, and 1 in Layton. NPS for the brand new year.
You trust us for news and information in your car. Now trust us at home. KSL News Radio has you covered, keeping you informed on the latest breaking news, weather, traffic, sports, and more. Listen on your Amazon Echo or Google Home device. Just say, Alexa, open KSL News Radio. Or listen on the KSL News Radio Listen app. Text the word app to 57500. KSL News Radio. We have you covered.
I was in foot pain for 20 years, trying to give it relief, buying all these different insoles. Drugstore insoles, custom insoles. I spent thousands of dollars. I bought all these products, and not a single one worked. I really, truly needed to have relief in my feet, and the Good Feet arch supports were what gave me the relief I needed.
For over 20 years, we've been helping people like Teresa actually live the life they love without their feet getting in the way.
They wanted to make sure that I got something that my feet felt good in, not somebody else's feet. I love the fact that I can wear these arch supports in all my shoes. I have boots, I have cowboy boots, I have running shoes, I have walking shoes, I have flat shoes, I have heels. It makes me so happy. If you ask my husband, he will crack up because there is no store I would rather go in than a shoe store. I'm Teresa, and that's my Good Feet story.
See what we can do for you with a free personalized arch support fitting at the Good Feet store.
We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
With the new IHOP value menu, $6 is all it takes to go to your happy plates, where stacks of pancakes with bacon and eggs are just $6 every day. French toast, sausage, and eggs are, you guessed it, $6. And fluffy omelets come with a side of pancakes and only cost $6. Go to your happy plates every day at IHOP. $7 in some locations. Available every day for a limited time at participating restaurants in the U.S. Hours may vary. No substitutions. Not valid with other discounts or promotions. Prices may vary.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment?
That's a lie. Most timeshares can be bought online for $1. To find out what your timeshare is worth and to cancel it, call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit kit free with all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley for your free exit info guide. 800-771-1300. That's 800-771-1300.
If you've ever set New Year's resolutions before, you know how difficult it is to follow through because you have to wait to see the results. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and in honor of your New Year, New You resolutions, Any Hour Services is having our New Year, New System sale. From now until the end of February, Any Hour Services will give you $2,026 off a new furnace and air conditioner. And you don't have to wait to save the money. You get $2,026 off at the time of purchase. The only thing you have to do to qualify for our New Year, New System sale is call Any Hour Services and schedule a free estimate. When you call, there's no obligation to buy. Just schedule a time to meet that works best for you. Let me say that again. From now until the end of February, when you have Any Hour Services install a new furnace and air conditioner, we'll give you $2,026 off. Call Any Hour Services right now and schedule a free estimate. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Question: what will you find on all over-the-counter or OTC medicine packages to help you choose the right drug and use it safely? The answer: the Drug Facts label. This label lists the medicine's active ingredients and purpose, how much to take, and warnings you should know before using it. Remember, even OTC medicines you buy without a prescription can cause side effects you don't want. So follow the information listed on the Drug Facts label. For more information, visit fda.gov/drugfacts label. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
If you're talking, they will hear you.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy, so we show them how. And we tell them with honest conversations that let them know what we expect. Not just one time, but every chance we get. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. Kids not only need to know the dangers and how to avoid them, they need to hear it often from you. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be taken without a prescription and never shared with friends or family. It's dangerous and illegal. So talk with your kids and guide them through the challenges of growing up safe and healthy. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
So talk, they hear you. You can do it if you try.
When you're making resolutions for the new year, have you ever thought of making a resolution to get a new metabolism?
So that your body is burning fat more naturally. I used to have a terrible metabolism because I didn't know what to eat or when to eat it until I did Soda weight loss. I let go of 37 pounds, and now my metabolism works for me.
I let go of 70 pounds in 5 months, and it was so nice because once that metabolism changes, the things that affected you more regularly don't affect you anymore. And those are the things that I learned from my nutritionist as I was going along and even afterward. It's so helpful. They taught me how to be successful for life.
You can call and speak to a nutritionist at Soda Weight Loss today at 866-800-SODA, S-O-T-A. That's 866-800-SODA.
Or you can go to sodaweightloss.com and see the hundreds of before and after pictures. And right now is the best time to do it because if you join now, your partner joins for free, so you get 2 transformations for the price of 1.
It's 866-800-SODA.
Because soda is, say it with me, Amanda, state of the art.
And expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
So, Rusty, one of the frequent topics of conversation for Greg Skordas and I in the fall was the government shutdown.
Yeah.
And you know, it was record-setting. I think it was 43 days or 47
Yeah, it was
days
long.
or something. It was so long. And now we're a little bit close to another one. We only have like 2 more weeks.
Yeah, January 30th is where I would say, punted to, right? To that. Just as people don't know how the appropriations process works in Washington, they break up the funding in all these different categories.
Right.
Military,
Sure.
social service, all that stuff, and they pass them in pieces. If it's under what they call regular order, meaning they're doing their job in the regular way and passing those appropriations bills piece by piece, and then they finish them by September 30th is the fiscal year. That's kind of the deadline. So that's what drew the government shutdown, obviously in October after September 30th. So they punted until January 30th. The question is, is this going to happen all over again? The same arguments. It was all over healthcare and the subsidies, which we talked about earlier, and that's part of the question. But in the meantime, Congress has done their part in passing these piecemeal bills. In fact, there was some stories. We'll ask Representative Malloy when she joins us. Those are starting to pass and get those done piece by piece so that they're all in place by the time January 30th comes around. That's the big question as to whether that happens or not. If that isn't the case, then we're looking at what they call another continuing resolution.
Right.
Basically, that is just, okay, we're going to take, if we're spending $100 now, we're still going to spend the $100. Nothing changes, and we just kind of kick the can down the road.
Another, what, 2 months?
It could be from a week to a year. Or
Wow.
It just depends on how long. Well, I wouldn't say year, but it would out to the next deadline, September 30th. They should already be, and they probably are, already working on the next fiscal year, which they set in stone over the summer, and then that kind of kicks off September 30th. Those are the conversations that they have ongoing as things come along.
Well, let me ask you, if they do this under regular order, is it really only for the rest of this fiscal year? So it's really only going to fund it through September?
Yes, if I understand correctly, it funds everything through September 30th. But I want to ask the expert, because the expert is here.
Yay.
And so I want to say how cool this is that Utah, this is a big deal, where Utah has a member on the Congressional Appropriations Committee, because they control the purse strings. And so that will be...
Well, we have Representative Celeste Malloy in
Yes.
studio with us to talk to us about appropriations, to talk about funding government.
Hi.
Yes.
How's it going?
Sorry, I just came jogging in a few minutes late because this is kind of how life works now, but
You're
I'm
all
excited
good.
to be here.
You're all good.
So we were talking about, I thought I saw headlines this
Yeah.
morning or something that the Senate was moving some of the appropriations bills.
Yes.
Okay. So if you could explain what is going on, because everybody's worried
Yeah.
about January 30th.
I know. And hopefully we're giving them reason to be less worried. So there are 12 appropriations bills. We have now passed 6 of them through both chambers. So we are halfway there.
Oh, good.
More than halfway through the total budget amount. Half of the bills is more than half of the money. But in October, we had a total government shutdown. None of the bills had been passed. Now we have half of them passed. So even if the other half didn't pass, which I think they will, half of the government stays funded. So it won't be an October type situation again.
Okay.
Including, military, VA, Capitol Police, some of the things that were some of the most upsetting, heart-wrenching stories during the shutdown.
Oh, yeah.
Those are funded for the year. And it's easy in the chaos to lose track of just how important this is. We are passing a Republican budget for the first time since 2009.
Wow.
It's been that long?
Yeah. We've had, mixed government and CRs, and we've limped through a lot of things. So as I walked in, you were talking about regular order.
Yeah.
This isn't quite regular order, but it's the closest we've been
Yeah.
in a long time. All 12 of the House's appropriations bills went through committee markup.
Wow.
That's a really big deal. And these have been negotiated by the appropriations cardinals, by the subcommittee chairs. So this isn't the four corners. This isn't the leadership in both chambers coming together and coming up with something and foisting it on the rest of Congress. This is Congress doing its job. And I know I've seen that there's some people on the internet this morning who are really upset about things that are in individual bills. And I just want to point out, especially with the national security bill, the one that used to be SFOPS, now it's NRDC. It is a 16% cut in foreign aid.
Wow.
And it's not just a 16% overall cut. The Cardinal, Mario Diaz-Balart from Florida, he knows this stuff so well. And he went in and made sure that we are giving carrots to our allies and sticks to our enemies. This is not what's been happening the last few years, where we've given money to countries that hate us and they're using our own funds to go out and message against America. He really dug in to that budget and made sure that we defunded things like UNRWA that helped Hamas invade Israel. And he made sure that the organizations that are getting money are organizations that are actually helping with America's goals in the world. That is a really, really important benchmark that I hope people don't lose sight of. First of all, cutting any appropriations bill by 16% in 1 year is historic. That never
I was going to say that
happens.
That surprises me.
Yeah.
Like, that's significant.
And that's how, even with increases in defense spending, we have overall cuts in spending with these appropriations bills. This is a huge accomplishment. And there will be naysayers. There will be people who don't like a detail in a bill here and there, but funding the entire government, there are going to be things in there to disagree with. There will always. There is no such thing as a federal budget that will make everyone happy. But if you care about debt, deficit, and America being strong on the world stage, this is the appropriation season you should be really excited about.
So in about, what do we have, about 30 seconds or so? Hopefully,
we can go a little
bit longer.
Yeah.
So the Senate just went like on a 10-day break, I thought. So how do you get this done by January 30th?
So we have 4 more bills to get passed out of the House. We'll get them done this next week while we're in.
Got it.
And then the Senate is in the last week in January.
Okay.
And so they've got a week to pass all of the bills that the Cardinals have already met on. They've already come to agreements on. And so I think we're going to get it done.
Wow.
And even if one of the bills doesn't make it, that'll still be 11 of the 12 bills. This won't be the kind of government shutdown that we had in October. I don't think there will be any sort of shutdown.
Well,
and there were naysayers. You know, back in
sure.
September, it was like, oh, they reopened the government just so they can shut it down again in January.
So first of all, I've never heard Cardinals before because I think that is a church thing. Can you explain that?
I can't. I wish I could. So there's some weird Catholic vocabulary that's worked its way into the Appropriations Committee, and I don't understand why. I walked into the system already this way. But yes, the
Who are
subcommittee
they then?
chairman.
Oh, subcommittee chairs.
So the 12 subcommittee chairmen are called Cardinals.
Oh,
and
wow.
when you get one of those subcommittee chairmanships, they say you got a ring, which is the Catholic
Kiss
cardinal
the ring.
Yeah, and so you'll hear that a lot.
Wow.
When people will be like, oh, so-and-so in whatever state is powerful because he has a ring on appropriations. That means they're a subcommittee chair. That means they're a cardinal.
Some inside baseball right now.
It is. There you go for inside sources. I have another question, actually, and this is from a texter. Is there anything touching Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, that chunk?
No, because those are mandatory spending
right.
programs, and appropriations is discretionary spending.
That's right.
So we're talking about another reconciliation bill. Reconciliation is where we look at mandatory spending.
Okay.
And appropriations is where we do discretionary spending, which is only about 26% of the budget. So that's another thing. A lot of people think that we can balance the budget by cutting appropriations.
Right.
And we have to be really tight with the appropriations. We have to make sure we're spending money wisely for the American taxpayers, but it's going to take more than appropriations to fix the budget.
Okay, I have one final question, if that's okay. Are we going to invade Greenland?
I don't think so. That is the question everybody's asking. I don't think we're going to. Greenland is an ally. In fact, somebody told me this week that the place in the world that celebrates the 4th of July outside of the United States is Greenland. Like, they are the most pro-American, most excited about our Revolutionary War outside of the United States. So we'll see. There's going to be some drama over the next little while. We'll see what happens. Greenland is in an important position in the world for geopolitics. But
all right,
I'm not preparing for that.
Rest easy, Holly. Rest easy.
Thank you so much for joining us, Congresswoman. Appreciate it so much.
KSL FM Midvale, KSL Salt Lake City.
10:02 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour: Utah lawmakers and business leaders are meeting right now in downtown Salt Lake City as they discuss Utah's economy and potential policy changes. Utah Chamber CEO Derek Miller says he has been watching property tax increases across the state.
People who own homes across Utah have seen their values go up, and as a result of that, they've seen their property taxes go up, and sometimes to unsustainable levels. We would like to see that addressed.
This is one of several topics expected to be discussed in today's summit as leaders prepare for the upcoming legislative session. A protester started shouting and was removed from the meeting when former U.S. Senator Kyrsten Sinema was brought in for a panel discussion. Our top national story this hour: a bipartisan group of U.S. lawmakers is in Denmark today to reassure Danes of American congressional opposition to President Trump's threats to seize Greenland.
Part of the point of this trip is to have a bipartisan group of members of Congress listen respectfully to our friends, our trusted allies and partners here in Denmark, And from Greenland,
Delaware Senator Chris Coons says their trip is designed to lower the temperature and create a more constructive path forward. Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 30 points right now, less than 0.1%. We're at 49,412. Temperatures are on the rise, and that hazy sunshine sticks around. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:03.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
What if you could have reliable and intelligent Wi-Fi? And get this, what if you could keep it at the same price for 5 years? That's the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. 5 years of Wi-Fi that boosts speeds to the devices that need them most. That finds and fixes problems before you even notice them. Like super intelligent Wi-Fi with a sixth sense. And that keeps you gaming in the fast lane, even when the whole family's banking on bandwidth. All your devices working in perfect harmony for 5 whole years. And here's the best part. No annual contracts, no hidden fees, and our best equipment included. Hey, let's face it, a lot can change in 5 years. Kids grow taller, dreams grow bigger. But your Wi-Fi, it would stay reliable and the price would stay put. The Xfinity 5-year price guarantee. Lock in your price and unlock the possibilities. Xfinity. Imagine that. Select plans only. Restrictions apply.
Hi, this is Doug Ryden. For years, I've been telling you about products I truly believe in and that we use in our home. And one is Kinetico. We all know the downsides of hard water, tough on home appliances, frustrating spots on shower doors, but it also affects your personality. When you shower, does the water feel invigorating? Hard water can leave your skin feeling sticky and itchy. A Kinetico soft water system changes everything. It's like having a luxurious spa experience when you shower, making your daily routine something you look forward to. Kinetico, it's a difference you can feel. Their patented system uses far less salt than competitors, and they're exclusively focused on water softeners. They're the experts in their field, and they'll show you the difference for free with no obligation to buy. Call Kinetico Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, an authorized independent dealer, at 801-576-8600, or check them out online at softwaterutah.com. Start enjoying your water. Spoil yourself every day.
My friend Joey loves to use old familiar sayings.
You know what they say.
The problem is,
don't look at a gift horse, cause you can't make them drink.
He gets a lot of them mixed up.
People who live in glass houses,
here it comes,
shouldn't cry over spilt milk.
There are also a lot of sayings in the financial world, like, you'll pay lower taxes in retirement. But for many people, it's just not true. You may have done a great job saving in that 401k or IRA, but Uncle Sam is ready to grab a big portion of that money. The team at Galileo Wealth Management can help with strategies that you can start now to lower your tax bill in the future. More for you and less for Uncle Sam.
Or as they say, an apple a day is worth 2 in the bush.
Get the facts on your tax bill in retirement. Call Galileo Wealth today at 385-247-7000. It's 385-247-7000 or online, GalileoWealth.com.
And remember, a stitch in time keeps the doctor away. It does, you know.
Traffic and weather together are brought to you by UCCU. Transfer savings, earn more. UCCU, love where you bank. And here's Jason Jones.
Amanda, we're running accident and delay free right now, which is pretty fantastic, although we do still see this fog over the West Davis Highway. On the west side, clear out, Weber and Davis counties. There's also fog still around on the west side of the Salt Lake Valley as well, up around the airport area. Now, like I said, it has lifted somewhat, so down on the ground level, your visibility has extended. However, it's still kind of hanging around out there, just sort of hazy and getting in your way, especially if you're driving up on the West Davis Highway. The only other thing that we're seeing is the construction barrels that are out eastbound on Pioneer Crossing as you approach 2300 West. You're going to stick over to the left there as the right lanes are blocked. While you're planning your day, plan for comfort too with the Good Feet store. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
We should see a high of 42 today. The haze is thinned out somewhat depending on where you are. We don't have any storms lined up in the 7-day forecast, so that haze will start building again. Right now, it is foggy and 28 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Today it's Holly Richardson and Rusty Cannon. Greg has the day off. But, you know, Rusty, we're getting ready for the state legislative session, and it starts on Tuesday. And we've been talking all week on Inside Sources about how the state is basically going to make ends meet. And one of the things that they have done is ask state agencies to cut their budgets, at least to propose a 5% cut in their budget as they head into appropriations meetings. And one of those agencies really is the Utah State Board of Education. And they had less than a week's notice to do that. Board members were super frustrated, I think, yesterday. And that's what I saw in the news stories this morning. It's like it was a 5-hour meeting. Some of my friends were there in person to follow along. And they started deliberating, like I said, 5 hours.
Yeah, apparently, like you said, 5 hours resulted, and they approved about reductions about $30 million, the number that I'm reading, and well shy of the requested $163 million in ongoing funding. And let's listen to board member Erin Longcare, what she said during yesterday's meeting.
You look at these kids in the faces. I'm sorry. I want the legislators to walk through the halls of these schools and you tell those kids what programs you're going to cut. Not happening. You find somewhere else to cut things. You look under every single rock in Utah and you make cuts, not in education, not for our kids. And I'm so thankful for the people that are in this room right now. We're all passionate. And this deserves time, not 2 hours. And if legislation is not going to come to the table, we should make their names public.
So their meeting was, I'm sure, really emotional. And we have with us Utah State Board of Education board member Sarah Reels. Thanks for joining us, Sarah.
Thanks for having me.
Sounds like it was quite the meeting that you had. Now, I assume you have plenty of meetings that go 5 hours, right? I mean, but still, that's a long time, because I've heard you talk about them before. But can you give a little more context as to what's going on?
Yeah, we do have long board meetings. We only meet twice a month, so they end up being extended. We have a lot of work to do, and we're good at deliberating, let's say that. But yesterday, we're asked to make some cuts, which is totally understandable. I'm open to making cuts and reevaluating programs and different things, but it felt very rushed, first of all, and it turned to us pitting programs against each other. We're looking at, should we fund the arts? Should we fund child sex abuse training? And I don't think that's a really great way to make decisions with such short notice.
So I really appreciate you said it's perfectly fine to go through this exercise. You know that sometimes things need to be cut, but it sounds like the issue and the emotion we heard on that soundbite is just because of the speed of it. Is that a fair way to put it?
Yeah, I would say that, Rusty, but also I think it's a little bit frustrating for me because when I look at the budget overall, there's so many things that we are funding. I call them legislators' pet projects, things like Speaker Schultz's Catalyst Center, $130 million. And then we have vouchers. We have, the Utah Fits All program where we're giving out $8,000 to send your kid to a private school or homeschool them. And so it's frustrating to me to look at programs that we know work, that we've developed, that we've grown, and then at the same time, and be asked to cut them. And then at the same time, see all of this money go into all these other projects and to these vouchers that we're giving out as well.
So I'm wondering if you can just let us know, what did you find that ended up being $30 million that you could propose a cut?
Yeah, we, I went in and I thought to propose it. I was like, if we're going to have to do this, we should just take 5% off of every single program. That seems like the most equitable way to do it. It's a lot of mathing, and with school finance, it's very complex already. But we found ways to chip off a bunch of different programs, but not fully eliminate any. So it's a long list, and you can see it. We'll have it posted so you can see all the different areas that were cut, but. It still is just like, I want the legislature to come to the table with us and discuss these things and engage with us through the legislative process. Oftentimes they're passing bills and legislation without even consulting with the state school board. And it gets really frustrating year after year to keep seeing that happen, especially when they come with gigantic fiscal notes. And then at the same time, they're asking us to cut.
So Sarah's going to smile when I ask her this because she knows me and she knows why I'm going to ask this question. As being a fan of cutting government myself, has there been any talk of the size of the Department of Education as a cut? I mean, there are a lot of people that work there, and coming from just my opinion, and you knew I'd ask this, is there any talk about just reducing the size?
A lot of, yes, Rusty Cannon, the king of cutting government. I think that there are opportunities. A lot of those, like our FTEs, the positions that we fund, I really see it as there is always opportunities to make cuts and make changes. And sometimes it comes in staff, sometimes it comes in programs, but a lot of the proposals that we did have originally at the beginning of the 5-hour meeting did have staff cut. So that was included in some of that.
So let me just ask you this question about process. As we start the legislative session and there are appropriation meetings, as you're talking about public ed appropriations, do you feel like the legislature will be interested in what you're proposing, or are they maybe just going to do their own thing?
I truly wish I had evidence to say that they are interested in our, every year we send up our funding priorities. Every year we talk to them about bills we want to run, that we want them to run, and I don't see a lot of engagement. They're like, that's cute, but we're going to do this. That's how I feel like it's been for the last 3 years I've been on the board and even before. And so I wish that they would be more collaborative with us. Like a lot of times they run bills and we look at them and say, hey, we already have a rule for this, or that actually won't work because of X, Y, and Z. We're the experts in education. I wish they would consult us more.
Well, Sarah, it sounds like you guys will be sharpening pencils and having a lot to talk about over the next few weeks. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you giving the perspective from the board. Appreciate that.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
You bet. All right. In an effort to address Utah's child care situation, Utah lawmakers are proposing a tax credit for small businesses for the costs of running a child care facility. And we're going to speak with one of those lawmakers behind this push about how this would work straight ahead.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You need someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now you can meet them fast on ZipRecruiter.
Build your team, build it sooner. Meet your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
The movie show is going to be broadcasting live from Sound Sleep today in Sandy. And Sound Sleep, one of the things that they do that's so unique is that they treat sleep apnea without the use of a CPAP machine. I'm joined now by Mandy Nelson from Sound Sleep. And Mandy, that CPAP machine, that keeps a lot of people from finding out if they have sleep apnea because they're afraid that what they'll find out is that they have to use a CPAP.
That's right. A lot of people feel like that's the only option for them, and it's not. Here at Sound Sleep, we treat with a mouthpiece that positions your jaw and keeps your airway open.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that and why that's different. And, some people, they can't handle the mask. They feel claustrophobic.
Yeah.
And so they don't treat the sleep apnea, and that's the thing that's so important.
Right. Sleep apnea is very scary, and a lot of people don't know that they have it. So if you're struggling with morning headaches, waking up throughout the night, snoring, if your spouse is, hitting you all night long to roll over because you're snoring, there's a good chance that you are suffering from untreated sleep apnea.
So how do you find out?
So here, what we're offering today is a free sleep consultation and sleep screening where you come in and pick up a sleep screening that you take at home. It's like a sleep test, but very easy to do in the comfort of your own bed. You bring it back the next day, meet with one of our consultants, and they will go over the results with you, tell you what's going on while you're sleeping at night.
Now, having gone through this multiple times, and Amanda and I have talked about this a lot on Utah's Morning News, when you find out how many times your body how many times your body stops breathing, and then second, how long it's for, you're going to be surprised.
Yeah. A lot of people are very surprised to hear that they stop breathing for minutes at a time. So, and not to mention the effects, which I'm sure we'll discuss later, of leaving those things untreated, what can happen to you in the future.
Yeah, there's some long-term health risks that we want to make sure you know about. So here's what you got to do. If you want to take advantage of this offer from Sound Sleep of a free sleep screening and a free sleep during the movie show, 801, we got to call from now till the end of the movie show, 801-716-8672. That's 801-716-8672. You can call for yourself or you can call for a loved one.
Yeah.
Set up that appointment. It's free, and this is something that you're going to need to know.
Yeah, absolutely. First of the year, let's get our health in check.
801-716-8672.
You gave years, maybe decades to your job. You showed up, worked hard, and planned for retirement. But now, the company's changed. Or maybe you've taken a buyout or been forced into early retirement. So, what happens next? I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. And if you've built up a 401k or thrift savings plan, now is the time to ask, is that money really working for you? Many workplace retirement plans offer limited options and even less guidance. At Trajan Wealth, we help people just like you roll over their accounts into IRAs with more flexibility and personalized investment strategies built around your goals. For households with $500,000 or more, let us build you a personalized plan. We operate on veteran values, service, trust, and doing what's right. Your next chapter starts now. Call Trajan today. 801-207-9900. That's 801-207-9900.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. See website for details.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Inside Sources.
So one of the things that we've been talking about is childcare in the state of Utah. We always have a lot of people who weigh in when we talk about it. And on Capitol Hill, we have at least one proposal right now. And one of the sponsors, this is the Senate sponsor, Senator Heidi Baldery, is on the line with us to talk about childcare policy. And welcome, Senator. Thank you for stepping out and talking to us today.
Thanks for having me, Holly.
I'm here with Rusty Cannon as well. He's co-hosting today. And I wonder if you could just start by telling us what's the biggest issue here that you're trying to solve?
Thank you. And hi, Rusty.
Hello.
Well, hi. At its core, I'd say that it's about two things that Utah families are feeling every single day. One, childcare is hard to find and it's too expensive. Utah has one of the youngest populations in the country, and yet 77% of Utahns live in what's called a child care desert, meaning there simply aren't enough licensed providers to meet the demand. And at the same time, child care costs have risen faster than almost every other household expense, even housing. So that combination is what's hurting families, employers, and our economy, and that's what I'm trying to address.
So, Senator, it sounds like this bill that we're talking about has to do with a business tax credit, right? Not a tax credit to those with children, but to business. Can you explain how this would work? I think this is an existing tax credit. Am I right?
That's right. So, so we have. Let's talk about that tax credit. What was broken before and what's changed. So, for years there was a federal employer child care tax credit, but it wasn't very practical, especially in Utah, because it only applied if a business built and operated its own on-site child care facility. Realistically, very few employers can do that. So last year, Utah mirrored that narrow federal credit, but this year, Congress made a major improvement. Under the updated federal credit, large businesses can claim 40% of the qualified child care expenses. Small businesses can claim 50%. And most importantly, qualified expenses now include contracting with existing licensed childcare providers anywhere, not just these on-site centers. And employers can also work through a third-party intermediary, someone who manages contracts and compliance for them. And that last piece really matters because most employers want to help, but they don't want to become childcare administrators.
So how then would this impact the employees of those businesses? Like, how does it look for them? Did the childcare costs drop? Is there something closer? What does that look like?
It's fantastic. So this is how it would work. So large businesses would get 40% of the federal, up to 10% of the state, which would equal up to 50%. Then the small businesses would get 50% from the federal, 30% from the state, covering 80%. So small businesses, just to define that for the audience, are defined by the revenue, not the head count or number of employees. So if your 5-year average gross receipts are under $31 million, you would qualify as a small business. So here's an example. Like a small business pays $1,000 a month for an employee's childcare. They could receive $800 back through tax credits. And then the payment goes directly to the licensed provider, not into someone's pocket. So it's accountable and targeted. And then the employers get to choose. Maybe they will cover full child care costs. Maybe they'll offer a partial benefit, or maybe they'll start small and grow over time. So it's flexible, it's voluntary, and it's realistic.
You know what I like about that? You used a couple of important words there. It's targeted, right? And this seems common sense, but you're incentivizing, right? You're giving you still have the choice with the business. This doesn't seem to be more of just an expansion of government. Here I go again, Holly. Sorry.
We knew who you were when we invited
that's right.
you.
You asked me to come, but to where this is a little bit more targeted. Are we understanding that correctly?
Yes.
And so the idea then is that they would then proffer more benefits or bolster the benefits that they have now, right, for their employees. Of, hey, we will get a tax credit. Let's implement things I would say to do the right thing, right, Holly, to incent them to do things that obviously their employees need. And it also still allows them to compete amongst employers of providing good benefits, right, and keeping people around.
Yeah, and I would say that the bill doesn't mandate child care. It incentivizes employers to be part of the solution.
So let me ask you this question. Why should Utahns care about this bill?
Yeah, that's a great question, because childcare isn't just a family issue. It's an economic issue, a workforce issue, a future of Utah issue. This bill, right, when you look at the replacement rate, birth replacement rates, in other countries and in our own nation, and even in our family-friendly, big family state of Utah, we are now below the birth replacement rate, and it's a problem. This bill will encourage Utah businesses to play a role in solving our child care shortage while supporting working families statewide. So by aligning the state and federal tax credits, we're going to make it possible for employers, especially small businesses, which are the backbone of our state, our nation, to be part of the solution. Because when families succeed, businesses succeed, and Utah's economy succeeds.
So, Senator,
and the lack of
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I was
just going to say that the lack of childcare right now is costing to Utah's economy is $1.36 billion a year. And I don't want to just look at this from an economic viewpoint, because I know we're a family-friendly state, and families can't thrive without reliable childcare. And when we support working parents, we're investing in the children, the families, and Utah's future all at once.
So, is this bill numbered? Is it public yet?
It is numbered.
I didn't want to put you on the spot for the number. I'll
it's so embarrassing. It's like your own.
No, I get it.
Yes, it is numbered. 135. Don't quote me, but yes, it is numbered, and it is out there. And the good representative, Jason Thompson, is the primary sponsor, and I'm the floor sponsor. And the Policy Project is supporting it. Lots of good people supporting this good idea, and Yes, and I can look up that number.
No, I didn't want to put you on the spot there. So it's a House. So for those that don't know, you can go to the website. We have a phenomenal legislative website. It's le.utah.gov, and you can go on there and you can click on the bills section and see all the bills. These are all once they're numbered. When I say numbered, I guess that's an industry
Once
jargon.
they're written.
Written, yeah. Then it goes out and it's assigned a number. This bill, if it is say House Bill 135, you can click on it. You can see the entire text. You can see who the sponsors are. You can, make contact, see when it's scheduled. You can actually even set an alert,
right,
which I encourage people to do if you're concerned with a bill or interested in it, an alert. So you'll get an email anytime there is a change to the bill.
Right.
It gets assigned to a committee. It'll tell you when. And now, it's kind of thanks to COVID mostly, you can now zoom in to these meetings if you don't want to go to the Capitol, hear what's said. You can even speak during public comment.
Yeah, I do love that. And Senator, maybe could you just speak really briefly about the child care deserts, and especially in our rural areas of Utah? How might this bill help them?
Oh, that's great. Yeah, so 77% of Utahns live in a child care desert. And that's a problem. So they actually interviewed, they did some research. It was commissioned by the Women in the Economy Task Force, led by Grace Reese. And they surveyed employers across Utah. And what the results found was that 60% of employers in St. George, 70% of employers in Salt Lake County said that they would help pay for employee child care if a meaningful tax credit existed. And let's say only 5% of employers participate. That estimate would be 110,000 working parents who could receive child care support. That's a huge impact without creating a new entitlement or bureaucracy. And this bill is about unlocking private sector solutions through smart public policy.
So is there, as you know, with any bills like this, there's a fiscal impact. I'm maybe using too much industry jargon, but there is. But is that an issue? Is this a reasonable amount? Do you feel confident about this getting across the finish line?
Well, that's the thing is sometimes tax credits, as you know, aren't used. But again, with the statistics that I just shared with you, people are clamoring for this, and so. I would be very surprised if it doesn't. And it's probably, as I've done the rounds and done my town halls, people are excited about this bill. And I believe that this will be a highly utilized, tax credit. And, the fiscal notes are always estimates, but I expect that it will be highly utilized.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us, Senator, and for being flexible in our timing. We really appreciate it, and we'll follow this as it goes through the Utah legislative session. When we come back, we're going to talk about religious freedom. It's actually National Religious Freedom Day, and it matters as attacks against different faith groups have been on the rise around the globe. We'll talk about that when we come back.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top national story and local story. Today, the man accused of killing political activist Charlie Kirk has a scheduled court appearance. Attorneys for Tyler Robinson will argue the Utah County Attorney's Office should be removed from the case because a child of one of the prosecutors was on the UVU campus the day of the shooting. The prosecution says the child did not witness the shooting and the defense's request should be denied. We'll have coverage of the hearing that gets underway at 1 o'clock this afternoon. A Sandy man has died after being hit by a car last night. Sandy police say the man was in a crosswalk when he was hit in an intersection near 1000 East and 110th South. The driver stayed on scene but was later arrested for investigation of automobile homicide. Our top national story now. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney is in Beijing today, meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Canada is breaking away from the U.S. policy and reducing tariffs on Chinese-made electric cars.
It's expected that within 3 years, this agreement will drive considerable Chinese investment in Canada's auto sector, creating good careers in Canada.
Both nations have promised to tear down trade barriers and improve strategic ties. Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 28 points right now, just a fraction. We're at 49,413. Coming up, no storms in the 7-day forecast. That gunky air is going to stick around with us for a while. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:32. Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
The Movie Show broadcasting live today from Sound Sleep in Sandy. This is one of 6 locations that Sound Sleep has in Utah, everywhere from Clearfield to St. George. And the reason I tell you why is because you're going to want to come into Sound Sleep when you hear what offer that she has for people to find out, A, if you have sleep apnea, so that you can learn the best way to treat it without having to use a CPAP machine.
That's right. So today we're offering to the first 50 callers a free sleep screening and a free sleep consultation. So you can call in at the number 801-716-8672, or you can also go to our website if that's easier, soundsleepmedical.com, to sign up, and you'll come in and pick up a free sleep screening to find out if you are suffering from sleep apnea.
Now, you have to call during the movie show between
Right.
now and 1 o'clock to take advantage of this offer. So that's why you want to make sure you have that number written down, 801-716-8672. But that sleep test, now that's another, we talked a little bit about how for some people, knowing that you might have to use a CPAP machine is like, I don't even want to find out because I'm just not going to do it. But other people, they struggle with, well, yeah, maybe I should get it corrected, but I don't feel comfortable having people watch me sleep.
Yeah, a lot of people are nervous to go sleep over somewhere. So the sleep test that we offer is super easy. It's just a little chest strap that you wear around you, and you have an oximeter on your finger, and then a nasal cannula, like an oxygen tube in your nose. You do
Which,
it.
by the way, doesn't blow oxygen in
No,
your
it
nose.
doesn't. It's just
It's
it's
measuring
not doing
the oxygen
anything.
coming out.
Exactly. And you wear it in the comfort of your own bed. You know, we ask for 4 to 6 hours of data. You bring it back. We download it right when you come back the next day for your appointment, and we have all that data to go over with you and tell you what's going on.
All right, so then you find out if you have sleep apnea, you might find out that you're stopping breathing for periods in the night. What are some numbers that you've seen? I know you can't tell too, but have you ever seen people who stop breathing for like a long time?
I had a patient that stopped breathing for 101 times an hour.
That's like more than once a minute.
Yes, yes. And some people, over 2 to 3 minutes at a time that people stop breathing. It's really scary.
And these can lead to a lot of negative health effects that we'll talk about during the show today. But 801-716-8672. Call during the movie show to schedule a free sleep screening and a free sleep consultation with Sound Sleep.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370, or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Traffic and weather together, sponsored by UCCU. Supercharge your savings at uccu.com. And here's Jason Jones.
Amanda, we're looking at the camera on I-80 and 56 West again. It looks like the fog has dropped back down low again. And so your visibility is reduced there. And likewise, all the way up on the west side of Weber and Davis counties. It's a fairly heavy fog, especially out on like the West Davis Highway. Now, so far, none of the fog has not caused any accidents, really hasn't caused any major delays either, but you're definitely going to want to use caution because, you know, your visibility is reduced, so you're going to want to reduce your speeds likewise. Now, if you are eastbound on Pioneer Crossing, you're going to find some construction barrels out. Looks like they're doing some emergency road work. I see some road dug up there as well. So, yeah, stick over to the left there. So far, that's also not causing major delays, but it could as we kind of go along through the rest of the day. Your ultimate destination for the hottest new cars and trucks, off-road vehicles, exotics, and more is at the Utah Expo Center, the 16th through 19th at Mountain America Expo Center. Tickets at autoshowutah.com. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
Well, if you were hoping for a storm to break up this gunky air, I don't have any good news for you. There's no storm in the 7-day forecast. Today's high should be 42. We warm up to 49 by midweek next week. Right now it is foggy and 30 degrees downtown. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
So I am joined by Rusty Cannon today. And, Rusty, I mentioned today is National Religious Freedom Day. And we have with us in studio Sarah Weaver. She's the editor of the Deseret News. She also previously was the editor of the Church News. And she has a lot of, I think, really important insight into religious freedom.
Yeah, this is a category to talk about that hits home for a lot of people, myself included. I think this is an important topic. I call it the bedrock of society.
Yeah.
I think this is kind of...
At least our society as we know it, right?
Exactly. And a very important issue.
Sarah, I wonder if you could just start by simply defining what do we mean when we say religious freedom?
Well, religious freedom, it's considered a fundamental right. It's protected by the U.S. Constitution's First Amendment, and it ensures that people can believe and practice or not practice religion without any interference from government. And so when you think about what that can mean in the lives of individuals, this is something that is a really important issue.
I wonder this year, well, we're in 2026, but it seems like 2025, even across this country, because there's a different International Religious Freedom Day, but let's just focus on the United States. There seems to have been a rise in actions against maybe various religions. I mean, certainly we know that there was the shooting in Michigan for a Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but there's also a rise in, I think, anti-Jewish sentiment across the country as well. Can you speak to that?
Well, I think that any people of faith at some point in their life are going to experience some sort of persecution. And that may be people who believe or, as we said earlier, don't believe something. It's just as easy to be persecuted for something that you don't believe. But a few years ago, I met Dean Marcus Cole. He's the dean of the Notre Dame Religious Liberty Summit. And he was working in California, and one day he opened the newspaper, and he noticed a photograph of nuns, and they were in their habits. And he saw this, and he thought, wow, I haven't seen that for a while. And as he read the article, he found that these nuns wanted to expand their convent and had actually gone to the county architects and board of supervisors to say, hey, we need a building permit. We're going to add a few more nuns. And what he found was that they were turned down. And he says in here, their response was not to approve or disapprove the expansion of the convent. Their response was, this space, this land is too valuable to be wasted on prayer.
Wow.
And so at that point, Dean Cole said, I'm going to dedicate my life to this issue because it's an issue that intersects with property values. It's an that intersects with property rights. It's one that has a lot of intersection with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Can the church send missionaries out? Can the church build temples? Will governments or cities approve a temple? In recent months, we've seen some court cases that said, "Hey, we don't want them to build a temple here, or we don't want them to build that spire so high," and so there's a lot of things that come from this, and it just is something that's at the core of everyone's individual beliefs.
It was interesting in that story. Some of the things that you'd mentioned, they were kind of direct, where they said, "Hey, this land's too valuable for prayer." Yeah. A lot of times concern, at least one for me, is that it is disguised in other ways, meaning, where there's attacks on religious freedom, but it's under the guise of something else. And you see that happen, Holly, I'm sure we've all experienced it, where it's under a different guise, but it's clearly driven by, attacking someone's own religious freedom, whatever that religion may be, whether it's you're of the Jewish faith, or you're Muslim, or a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, whatever. Just a lot of times they are direct attacks on that, but they're often under the guise of something else.
Yeah.
I think that's it can be quite frustrating.
And I think, you pointed out this during the break, is that sometimes it's quote unquote okay to say F the Mormons at a sports event where you would not say that about another religious group.
Typically, no.
No.
Yeah.
Sarah, I wanted to ask you specifically too about President Dallin H. Oaks, the president of the Church of Jesus Christ right now, and because I know that he has spoken out about it a lot. It feels like.
Well, President Oaks has a background in the law. He's a former member of the Utah Supreme Court. And this has been an issue. He's been a defender of religious freedom for his whole life. It's been a lifelong interest of his. And, his thing is we need to live together in peace and mutual respect. And everyone has the same constitutional rights. And it's interesting because just a few years ago, I was with President Oaks in Chicago, where he actually said, why did the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints defend the Respect for Marriage Act? Because oftentimes religious liberty intersects with LGBTQ rights.
Mm-hmm.
And the church has said, we believe in fairness for all. We want the rights for those LGBTQ members in our community. The church lobbied for the Utah Compromise several years ago. It's been actually more than a decade now, to say we want them to have benefits and other things that anyone who would be in a marriage should have through employment, and we want them to have fair housing. But at the same time, we also want to protect anyone of faith who says, I don't want to make a cake for someone who is in that community, or it is against my religious beliefs to actually marry a couple in a gay marriage. And so there's a lot of intersections of this, and it becomes very personal. And the reason it becomes personal is that these things are at the very core of people's identities. It's the very core of what makes us human.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, this is an issue, like I said at the beginning, it just hits home for a lot of people. And until you mentioned it today, I didn't know that was what was today.
Yeah.
And so are there other issues that are popping up relative to this subject? I would say today is a day to recognize it and talk about it like we're doing. Is there anything boiling, I guess, at this point? That would be a question. Maybe none of us have the answer, but I wonder when the next boil point is.
Well, and we actually talked about it on this show, because not too long ago you mentioned the profanity about Mormons.
Yeah.
And a woman, Brandy Hicken, wrote a letter to the athletic director at the University of Cincinnati, because she had been a victim in Michigan of religious hate.
Yeah.
A gunman had driven a truck into her church and set it on fire. She was worshiping there with her 3 children and her husband. Her husband and 6-year-old daughter were shot. Mm-hmm. Shrapnel hit her in the back as she was running. And then a few weeks later, she finds herself at a football game with hate speech, and it feels more personal to her because she's actually experienced religious hate. And President Dallin H. Oaks says, we just need to live together in peace and mutual respect. Let me read what he says. He says, let us unite with those who advocate non-discrimination to seek a culture and laws that respect the rights of all, to the equal protection of the law and the right to the free exercise of religion. So what he's saying is, hey, everyone, no matter what they believe, should have certain constitutional rights. And as a society, we should defend those.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was Sarah Weaver, editor of the Deseret News. And when we come back after the break, it's time to check in with the KSL Movie Show folks. They want to know your favorite horror franchise, but Rusty and I don't really like horror.
No.
So we want to know, what's one horror movie or show that scared you so badly it still haunts your brain to today? Maybe made you quit watching horror altogether. You can text us 57500. We'll be right back.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam, just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today Visit KSLNewsRadio.com or text the word INBOX to 57500. That's INBOX to 57500.
It's the movie show broadcasting from Sound Sleep today, and I'm joined by Mandy from Sound Sleep as they have an offer for a free sleep screening and a free sleep consultation if you call during the movie show between now and 1 o'clock to schedule this appointment. And Mandy, we've talked about the CPAP and the reasons that people are kind of afraid to get a test done or figure out how to treat the sleep apnea. But maybe they'll change their mind when we tell them a little bit about what are some of the things that sleep apnea has been linked to. I mean, it seems like every 3 months I read another article about doctors have found poor sleep linked to this health issue, this health issue. What are some of the things that people could suffer?
So anxiety, depression, memory loss, heart issues is a really big one, stroke. There's a lot of people that pass away in their sleep from sleep apnea due to heart issues, and it's your oxygen dropping, your heart's overworking itself throughout the night when you stop breathing. So lots of scary things. High blood pressure is a big one as well.
When I had a kidney stone once, I went to the hospital, and every time my oximeter on my finger dropped below 90, I think it was, all the alarm bells go off, and all the nurses would come in to see what was wrong.
Yeah.
But what are oxygen levels dropping to for people at night?
Oh gosh, super low down to even 55 at times.
So basically, if nurses were paying attention to them, they would be rushing into your bedroom every night to say, hey, are you okay?
Yeah, constantly.
Now, that's an interesting way to maybe think about it, and then think about coming in and getting it tested.
Yeah, and the oxygen drops, and then you start breathing again, and that heart starts racing. So your heart's just, like I said, overworking itself. So all sorts of long-term side effects that people just don't understand. So, we have a easy way to treat, a more comfortable way to treat with a custom fit mouthpiece.
And it's super fast. Amanda, you did the scan on my mouth. It's a really fancy little process that you'll see your teeth in a way that you rarely get to see like that.
3D imaging, it's custom to your mouth only, so it's not something that you just, boil and bite into. It's comfortable and they're adjustable, so we make it really easy to treat.
801-716-8672 to make that free appointment. The offer for the free sleep screening and free sleep consultation only good between now and 1 o'clock, so you want to make sure you call as soon as you can to schedule that appointment with Sound Sleep.
Meet Matthew Preston. Inside his apartment, everything he holds dear is protected by Progressive's Renter's Insurance, like his laptop and a surprisingly valuable collection of baseball bobbleheads. Outside his apartment, his laptop is still protected, as are his bobbleheads, which he carries around with him for reasons no one knows. Renters, the limits of protection aren't just the four walls of your home. When you're in Progressive's Protection Zone, get a quote at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and third-party insurers.
You're still grooving, still connecting, still loving, still turning up, still thriving. You still got it, but your immune system, it weakens as you age. That's where vaccines come in. They help train and strengthen your immune response to fight off respiratory illnesses like flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, or COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Book in minutes at Vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
If you've ever experienced running out of hot water before your shower was done, or hard water spots on dishes and fixtures, I've got a deal you might be interested in. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and you probably already know that a tankless water heater and a water softener solve both issues. If you've ever thought about looking into getting a tankless water heater, here's the deal I was talking about. Through the end of February, we're including a free water softener with every new tankless water heater we install. The best part of this deal might be that you never have to worry about being the last one to the shower again, or that you don't have to waste the money keeping 40 to 50 gallons of water hot 24/7. To take advantage of this deal, call Any Hour Services before the end of February. The visit's free and there's no obligation to buy. If you decide to have us install a new tankless water heater, we'll throw in the water softener for free. That's right, a free water softener when you purchase a tankless water heater. Pick up the phone and call Any Hour Services right now for all the details. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
When you need the financial products and services for every stage of life, Cypress Credit Union is there for whatever the future holds. Visit cypresscu.com today.
The new Inside Sources.
So, Rusty, when I end the show, I always have some fun facts about something that happened on this day in history. So I'm going to start that before we go to the movie show. So on this day in 1605, Don Quixote was published. That was a long, long time ago.
1605.
Yeah.
That is way back.
A lot of people think that is they count that as the first modern novel, right? Tilting Against Windmills. We still have conversation or words that we use in our language from that.
Yeah.
So another one in 1919, prohibition was ratified by the states. So if you remember, that was an amendment that was passed that prohibited the sale of alcohol. And of course, it was not very much longer that they passed another amendment to unratify.
Yeah, to
So they
repeal
had
it.
to do another one to repeal it. Yeah. So this one, when I told you this one, you thought it was interesting. In 1945, Adolf Hitler went into an underground bunker. He was there for 105 days as the war was starting to collapse around him, and he had the Soviet troops were starting to come in. So he stayed there for 105 days until he killed himself, and his mistress and right before they died became his wife. Eva Braun also died by suicide.
Yeah, it's 3 months in hiding, and then I mean, you'd think there would have been a more what's the right word? It might have ended differently, right? But he
Yeah, he was
cowered
like,
out
I don't
yeah.
want them to even identify me. So he shot himself, took cyanide. She took cyanide, and then his soldiers burned their bodies so that the Russian troops couldn't take them, but they were still able to identify them. So actually, that's a good segue into some horror movies.
Yeah, I tell you.
So thanks, Andy and Rachel, for joining us today.
Well, you're welcome. And,
Morning.
nothing says a new year like horror, because it seems like horror every week.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you got for us this week?
Well, it's called 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, and it took them 25 years to get from the first to the third chapter in the 28 Days, 28 Weeks, 28 Years Later series. And now we're not even a year from the last one, and we have another one.
Yes.
And in this, you got Ray Fine as a doctor who survived the zombie plague that, he's managed to survive out in the open where everybody else is hiding behind fences and all these things. And it's in part because he has these morphine darts that he can shoot at people, at the zombies. And then he gets a big giant one addicted to the morphine.
Oh, gosh.
Wow.
Named Samson.
Yeah, and then he realizes that maybe this is something that could be cured. So this is not the last chapter in the 28 Years Later. But here's the other part, and this was the part that made this just a huge for me. There's a secondary plot where a kid who had grown up kind of behind the fences and safe gets out into the zombie portion of the world. And this, by the way, only happens in England. It's all contained to the island of England and Britain and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So the rest of the world's apparently fine, but here in England it's the zombie apocalypse. But the kid gets he gets sort of hooked up with this satanic group of roving, reckless youths.
Like literally, they worship Satan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was because their leader was in a church when the zombie plague hit, and so then he's like, oh, okay. But they are the most brutal.
Yeah.
And I almost walked out of the movie at this one scene. There's torture, and I was like, nope.
Oh.
And I said, the only reason I'd stayed for this is because I feel like as a reviewer, I at least have to watch the whole thing in order to be able to give a decent. Amanda has given me permission to say, nope, just walk out anyway. But I would have, if I wasn't reviewing it, I would have walked out halfway through.
Wow.
It is brutal. And really long. If they had divided it up a little bit more, it would have been more tolerable. But I agree, actually, on that.
The weird thing is Ray Fiennes is a good actor in anything. Even in this, you're like, Ray Fiennes is good in this.
I mean, he's given it his all. Like, and if there's anything that is entertaining, it's the scenes with him when he's like rocking it out to Iron Maiden.
Yeah, he
and,
takes
like,
a little
hanging
hit
out.
from his own dart at one point. Him and Samson kind of trip together. But so this to me, unless you're a horror fan and you can handle some pretty gruesome stuff, this is a stay away from.
I think it was worse than the last year's, in my opinion.
Yeah, horror movies. I've never been a fan of horror movies. So would you categorize this as such? It sounds like you would.
Definitely.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
A zombie horror movie.
Well, there are some zombie movies that I enjoyed, but I will definitely not be seeing this one.
Yeah,
So.
Are you talking like the Disney zombies where they're like fun high school singing?
Oh, no.
Or like Warm
but
Bodies. That's not what this is.
I did like Warm Bodies, but I also like World War Z. I thought that was fun.
Okay.
Look, but Rusty and I don't like horror, so we tweaked your question a little bit, and we asked our listeners what's one horror movie that scared you so badly it still haunts your brain. And I'll just tell you, this wasn't a movie, but when I was literally like 7 years old, And I wanted to watch the original Star Trek TV series, and my mom and dad said no, but they went out one night and we had a babysitter. So she was watching it, and I remember, this is a core childhood memory. I was watching Under the Couch, and it was the one where the salt monster sucks all the salt out of people and then they die. I had nightmares forever, and here I am many years later. I was like, I still remember that.
That's
Oh, yeah. No, it burns in, and it burns in.
Well, so I had a similar experience at a younger age. I think it was Friday the 13th, Jason. That was
Yes.
Friday the 13th. Yeah, with the mask, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, I think it was the second one. I can't remember, but it shook me.
Yeah, I don't think he wears the hockey mask in the first movie. I've never actually seen them, but I know a little bit the story about them.
Yeah.
But yeah, and how about this? Here's a real question. If Jason didn't wear a hockey mask, would goalies still be wearing that mask today? Or because I feel like they legit changed it because of that horror movie.
Possibly. It
Somebody'd have
scared me.
Somebody'd have to fact check that for me. But nobody wears that style hockey mask ever since Friday the 13th. Usually.
Wow. We had a few texters that weighed in. One said Alien.
Oh, I believe that.
One said The Taking of Deborah Logan. I don't know that one, but they said the ending scene is insane. And then one of ours said Hitchcock's The Birds. And then finally we have...
My
Go ahead.
mom, that's one that freaked her out.
Yeah,
The Birds.
right? I know.
Oh, yeah.
Super scary, right? They're going to pluck your eyeballs out.
You can't hide in a phone booth. They'll get in.
And then there was one that said it wasn't intended to be a horror show, but Towering Inferno haunted me for years.
Well,
see that.
it was meant to scare you.
I know. What about you guys?
I don't have a favorite horror franchise. Closest thing is I thought Happy Death Day. I really kind of enjoyed both of those movies because it veered more into like sci-fi than it was just straight somebody getting murdered over and over again, like a typical slasher movie. So I was okay with both of those, but I don't have any others.
I prefer my horror movies to be a little bit on the silly side, and for me, the Evil Dead franchise is by far the best.
Okay, so the
Like,
third Evil Dead movie.
there really has not been a bad one. I think they've all been entertaining.
Army
don't
of
even know
Darkness.
those.
Yeah, that's okay. You're okay without it. But I'll tell you what, one that freaked me out was Carrie.
Oh, I believe
Oh,
it.
yeah.
And I didn't even see the whole movie. I only saw like the last scene. No, it was from the prom scene to the end. And yeah, that's burned into my head. I've never watched the whole movie because of that.
Well, as far as traumatized for me, it would be definitely Return to Oz. That
I've
when
heard
I
that.
saw that when I was little, and I never forgot it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I know you should see the cover. They're smiling
The
on
hallway of heads and the evil queen
Ew.
and everything.
Ew.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's a wrap for Inside Sources today. And Rusty, thank
you for having me
joining
on.
me,
I
Rusty
appreciate it.
Cannon. We're going to turn it over to you guys for the KSL Movie Show for more on what to watch this weekend, even if it's not horror. Thanks, you guys.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott, KSL's top story this hour. New details are emerging after the tragic death of a North Carolina woman who passed away after falling from a bridge in Weber Canyon. WNCN spoke to Jenna Guerra's kids, including Lucas Guerra.
This is not the way she should have left us or passed away, but I'm glad that she was doing what she loved. She loved to help people.
The Utah Highway Patrol says Jenna left her own vehicle to help others involved in a crash when she ended up falling over a barrier and dropping 70 feet. Jenna's sons say the best way to honor their mother's memory is to help others whenever you can. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump unveiling a new healthcare plan that he has long promised, but not providing a lot of details right now.
His announcement comes as healthcare costs for more than 20 million Americans have skyrocketed